Carmela, we loved Portugal.
Oh, my goodness.
And we drank a lot of wine in Portugal, port, all that kind of stuff. Now, I don't think we had a lot of Alentejo wines.
I don't think so.
And in particular, these Alentejo wines that we're drinking are made in clay pots.
Amazing.
Called taljas or amphora. And so we're going to tell you a little bit more about how these wines are made and what makes them special and what we actually think of these wines. And a little spoiler, may not be exactly what we always love.
True.
So you got to listen to find out more and see what we really think.
Okay.
Hello to our Crew Tang clan and welcome to the Wine Pair Podcast. I'm Joe, your sommelier of reasonably priced wine, and this is my wife and my wine pairing partner in crime, Carmela.
Hi there.
And we are the Wine Pair.
Yippee!
If you're new to our podcast, here's what we do. Every week we buy wines that are under $25 with our own money, learn about them, taste them, and give you our brutally honest opinion on whether they're worth buying. Nobody pays us to review specific wines. We don't accept free bottles from wineries, and we're not afraid to call out a bad wine when we taste one. And Decanter Magazine calls us fun, irreverent,
chatty,
and entertaining. So if that sounds like your vibe, welcome to our tribe of wine lovers.
Okay, so did you make up that name?
I didn't.
I didn't think so.
No, the name of the tribe this week comes from Chris, and we'll hear from Chris later, but aren't you glad that the name didn't come from me?
I love that. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, you saved me. So remember, if you have ideas for tribe names, just send us a note or DM us, and we'll see if you want to be on the pod. All right, we are back from our awesome trip to Portugal.
Yes.
Which was like way better than I thought it would be, and I had high expectations.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
You thought, it was better than you thought?
Yeah.
You kind of said that almost like you were not expecting it to be good.
No, I actually expected it to be good, but it's even better than I thought it was going to be.
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And in our newsletter, which just came out, I talked about our port tasting in Porto. So if you want to know more about that, you can send me a note, and I will personally hand deliver the latest newsletter into your inbox.
Nice.
And there are pictures and all sorts of fun stuff in it. And today, in honor of our trip to Portugal, I wanted to visit one more Portuguese wine and wine region because we loved it so much.
Oh, nice.
And I will say that while we were in Portugal, we had a wide array of wines, including some great rosé wines and our share of white wines and also a lot of beer. And they're kind of serious about their beer, too.
Yes, they are.
But
in fact, they're kind of like, there's like a battle going on.
Between the beers.
Right.
Sagres or Superbock.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Superbock.
Yes, you were drinking them more than I was. But yeah, if you order the wrong one.
Oh, in the wrong city?
You know, and even in the wrong restaurant.
Oh, boy.
You give they're so wonderful, the people there, but they'll give you a little bit of a stink eye.
They will. They will give you a little stinky eye.
Will.
Okay. But what we're talking about today are red wines from the Alentejo area. And in addition to being inspired by our trip, we have also inspiration from listener Jared, who reached out to us in February and specifically asked us not only look into more Portuguese wine episodes, but to talk about Alentejo. So thanks, Jared, for that.
Thank you, Jared. How fun.
Super fun. Now, there are several well-known wine regions in Portugal that you likely know, such as Vinho Verde and Madeira. Now, for red wines, there are really three key regions you are likely to see. Douro, which we've covered, Dão. And by the way, I learned in Portuguese that like some of their words are like have a little umlaut over the A, and you put it up your nose. Dão.
Right.
Dão.
It's so weird.
It's weird.
They kind of almost like they're sticking their tongue against their, those two holes in the back of your mouth.
Exactly, those two holes.
Is it one hole?
I don't know.
I don't know. Do you have a hole back there?
I don't. Let's not talk about my holes. And then Alentejo. And what's important...
I don't know why that just struck me.
Alentejo is the name of the region we're going to cover today.
We were talking about holes, and then you said Alentejo.
It's not Alentejo.
I know, but it just sounded...
Okay. We are already off the rails. What's important to know, Carmela, is that these regions produce different types of red wine, mostly based...
Tinto.
Very good. Okay. And that's mostly based on the terroir, or specific growing areas. And remember, terroir is the fancy wine nerd name for the place. And it covers things like climate and soil and elevation and rainfall and other things that make the place a wine is from unique and impact the wine itself. And you may think that's crap, but it's really true. It matters. It makes a difference. Now, Alentejo, not Alentejo, is a big wine region in Portugal on the eastern side of the country. It basically runs from about the middle of the country to almost the southern tip.
Oh.
And Alentejo is known for its hot and dry climate and either flat terrain or like rolling hills. And since it's on the eastern side of the country, it also doesn't get the direct wind from the sea. So it's warmer. Now, Dão and Douro, I'm going to just say it like that, Dão and Douro, on the other hand, are northern wine regions, and both are much more mountainous and steep. In Douro, the vineyards are cut into the hills in very steep terraces, which make things like using machines nearly impossible.
True.
And the area is cut through by the Douro River, which, by the way, runs through Porto.
Right.
That
Beautiful.
was really, it was just amazing. And then that Dão is in the mountains where the climate is cooler because of the high altitude, and it is sometimes called the Burgundy of the South. And Burgundy, if you didn't know, is considered a cooler climate wine growing region in France. So put that in your brain box.
Don't forget.
That's right. And let me just note, I don't know why I'm talking about this, but I just had to bring it up, that the hills in the 3 cities we visited in Portugal, we went to Lisbon, Coimbra, and Porto.
Intense.
Especially in Lisbon, they are not jokes.
No, they are. And if nobody warns you about it.
That's what I'm just going to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny. Nobody, but you know what?
People don't say you're going to climb a shit ton of hills.
No, but the funny thing is I think it is stunning enough that it just may not be something that most people bring back. But you and I are just so in tune to like those kinds of things. I don't even know why.
Because it was like, it was
struck
serious.
us. It really struck us.
I felt struck sometimes. One night, I gave up. I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah, he just sat down like a 2-year-old. No, he didn't.
No, I was just like, Carmela, I'm done.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, we had perfect weather. It was like low to mid 70s. And I keep saying, if it had been in the 80s or 90s, I would have hated it.
It would have been rough.
Yeah.
I would have had to carry you.
Yes,
I mean, it would have been a lot of work.
That wouldn't be a pretty sight.
I don't think I'd have the same memories of the trip.
No.
So wonderful and like exceeding expectations.
No, it would have
sucked.
It would have sucked. But it was awesome.
It was amazing.
So anyway, the higher altitudes and more northern regions of Dão and Douro lead to more subtle, structured, and acidic wines. And again, acidic means wine is really food friendly, and wines with firm tannins. And the wines in Alentejo, on the other hand, because the climate is warmer, are generally more fruit forward, jammy, and ripe. So kind of think about them in the difference between like hotter climate California wines and cooler climate Willamette Valley wines, if you're thinking about the US, or the difference between Rhone Valley wines, which are grown in hotter climates, than Burgundy wines. So if you know what kinds of wines you generally prefer, this gives you a little bit of information. If you like jammier, fruitier, less acidic California style wines, you may like Alentejo wines. And you should know, too, that we may not like them as much because that's not our style. Right. And so when we do our tasting, if we find that we don't like Alentejo wines quite as much, it may be because of that style, which is just not really our style.
Right. Do you get like people getting mad at us for that kind of thing?
Never.
Oh, good.
Nobody ever gets, I've never had anybody get mad, but I have had people say like, I think you guys like this, or I think you guys don't like this. So our listeners are starting to understand our wine taste. And I do think
That's so nice.
Well, and I think the point is that all we want is you to be able to judge what you think of a wine based on what we not
use
that
us as the comparison as to, or the way to kind of gauge
that's right,
what you're going to like or not like,
and not because you agree with us, but because you know what we like, and so you can say, oh, I agree with them, or I don't agree with them.
Right.
Now we'll talk more about the grapes that are used in Alentejo, which are also specific to the area, but you should probably know that the main grape used in the blends of Alentejo is called Alicante Bouschet, and we actually did an episode on that grape and wine specifically about 1.5 years ago in episode 139. And by the way, Alicante Bouschet, this is something to put in your brain box. It's a Teinturier grape. And those grapes are unusual because they have red flesh to go along with the red skins.
Oh.
And remember, most grapes, even red-skinned grapes, have white flesh.
Right.
And so the juice is clear, and the red wines get their color from the skins, not the grape juice.
Right.
But in these Teinturier grapes, the skin and the flesh are red.
Interesting. Does it affect, does it make it really dark?
I don't think it makes it really dark, but it does impact the color. But they're also unusual. They're not very common. So that's just something, if you want to geek out, if you want to impress your friends, other wine nerds, you can just say, hey.
Oh my God, did you know
Alicante
that
Bouschet.
the flesh is also red? Some people might not know though that a red grape has white flash.
No,
normally.
I think that's kind of a cool thing. And then you can say, and it's in a place, you can find them in a place called Alentejo. It's not
Is
Alentejo.
this a pickup line? You think it'd be a pickup line?
Unless you use Alentejo, and then it's not anymore.
Whoa. Then people are like, womp womp.
Exactly. Hey, buddy, get out of here.
You got to let us know if you guys use any of these brain box facts for a pickup line.
Yes.
Like if it works.
Because we want to give it to our youngest son.
No,
we don't. Okay, anyway.
Who doesn't really drink a lot of wine?
No, actually, it wouldn't work at all. Now, listen, we're going to dig more into some of these red wines from Alentejo, and we'll tell you more about what makes them special and important to know. And then we have 2 wines from Alentejo to taste and review today to see if they're worth your hard-earned money. But first,
you got to do our shameless plug.
That's right. So thank you for listening to us and supporting our show. And remember that we buy all of the wine we taste and review every week so that we can give you real and honest reviews. And if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a 5-star rating and review so we can grow listeners. And thanks to everybody who's already done that. We also love to hear from you, and we always respond. So you can follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at the Wine Pair Podcast. You can contact us on our website, thewinepairpodcast.com, and you can sign up for our email newsletter there, and you can also send us a note at joe@thewinepairpodcast.com and let us know about wines you want us to review, or you know what, you can just shoot the breeze. Like I will respond.
He's got time.
I've got
He's
time.
Got all kinds of time.
Yeah. And then we'll do our listener shout outs near the end of the episode. And as we do every week, we'll tell you someone we think you should recommend the Wine Pair Podcast to, because you know what? That's the best way for us to grow listeners, when you tell your family and friends about us. And with Easter coming up, if Easter's a thing that you do, it's a perfect time to talk about the Wine Pair Podcast.
True.
And this week, we want you to recommend us to anyone who's planning
celebrating Easter with.
That's right. And or planning a trip to Portugal, because they need to know this wine. And by the way, if they're not planning on a trip to Portugal, you need to convince them to do it, because it really is worth it.
Wow, just like anybody randomly?
Anyone.
What?
Anybody would love Portugal.
Well, right, but that's kind of a lot to be, that's a little bit like pushy. Pushy, excuse me.
Pushy. You said pushy.
It's a little bit pushy.
You're so right.
I don't know.
But you know what? Sometimes it's kind.
Kindness? Spreading a little joy?
Spreading a little love. That's right. Huh. Okay, Carmela, I think it's time to find out just what the Alentejo red wines are all about, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, in a story that is consistent for areas like Portugal, wine growing in the region dates back to pre-Roman times. It was actually started by a group I've never heard of before called the Tartessians. And it started as early as 2000 BC. Now, evidently, Tartessians were actually a sophisticated pre-Roman civilization that lived in that area of the world, and then they just sort of vanished. And I'm not kidding. Like, the interweb said they vanished.
What?
I know. Like Harry Potter. I don't know. It's weird. I get it. I don't get it either. And after them came the Phoenicians and the Greeks, but it was the Romans who really expanded winemaking broadly in the area, and they introduced vines from the Mediterranean. And they also brought the iconic technique of fermenting wine in large clay vessels, most of the time called amphora, but in this area of the world called talhas de barro. These are large Portuguese terracotta or clay amphora used for centuries to ferment wine and store wine, particularly in the Alentejo region. And some of these jars were and are massive, holding up to 2,000 liters of wine.
Wow.
So more from your brain box. And Carmela, you need to remember this.
Okay.
Because it's going to come up again and again in the episode, okay?
Okay.
Okay, now starting in the 8th century, winemaking in the area declined because Muslim conquerors took over the Iberian Peninsula, and this lasted until the 1100s. Now, some of the Muslim leaders were more tolerant than others, and some allowed local winemaking to continue, but others were really strict and imposed heavy taxes or even forced uprooting of vineyards. But starting in the 12th century, during what's called the Reconquista, Christian leaders took over again, and they, along with religious orders, well, you know, the monks, brought back winemaking into the area in a bigly way. We like to say bigly.
We do?
No, we don't actually, but we'll say it. In fact, early on, the new rulers actually forced farmers to plant grapes and incentivized them to do so by giving the farmers a grace period of 3 to 5 years before they had to pay harvest tax on their produce. And then the monks, who were always good for making alcoholic beverages as well, also started winemaking. So by the 16th century, like 4 centuries later, Alentejo vineyards were flourishing and their wines were highly prized throughout Portugal and the Iberian Peninsula.
Wow.
Now, not everything, though, was hunky-dory, Carmela.
Uh-oh.
In the
There's always a twist.
There's always, you got to have that tension to make the story interesting.
Right.
There has to be a conflict.
I like it.
If there's no conflict, the story's not interesting.
I mean, it's kind of like our marriage.
Lots of conflict.
No.
And keeps it interesting.
Of course.
Right. So now in the 18th...
We have conflict.
It's a lot.
Oh.
In the 18th century, the Marquis of Pombal, this guy, man, he ordered vineyards in Alentejo to be uprooted so they wouldn't compete with winemaking in the Douro.
Wow.
What a big jerko.
Right.
And then in the 19th century, the phylloxera plague hit them as well as many of the other areas in Europe. And so farmers replaced grapes with olive trees and wheat and grain. So vineyards started going downhill.
Right.
But when Portugal entered the EU in 1986, wine production modernized in Portugal, and the Alentejo region saw real growth. The first DOCs in Portugal, and DOCs are the officially designated areas. It's the same thing that the Italians use. They were legally recognized. They were established in 1988, and between 1995 and 2000, wine estates increased 5 times.
Whoa.
Then in 2010, the Vinho de Talha DOC was established, bringing back the Roman tradition of making wines in clay pots. And so, yes, you need to keep remembering the clay pots.
Okay. That's what I need to remember.
They're going to keep coming up.
Okay. Why?
I'm telling you, you just got to remember it. Okay, and then in 2015, the region launched the Wines of Alentejo Sustainability Program to combat climate change and focus on sustainable winemaking.
Amazing.
So that's kind of cool. Now, in terms of grapes and winemaking, about 80% of the wine production in the Alentejo area is for red wines, or as you said...
Tinto.
That's right, Vino Tinto. So you need to put that in your brain box, especially if you're going to Portugal. And you remember what white wines are.
Branco.
That's right, Vino Branco. So that's 2 important words to know when you go to Portugal.
Right, and Tinto doesn't sound like anything.
Again, sounds like somebody from the Jackson 5. But that's a whole nother story.
Not. It's not.
No, that's Tito.
But Tinto, yes, it's a little bit odd. It doesn't.
What instrument did Tito play?
He was a singer.
I know, but some of them, one played bass, one played guitar. I don't know.
We should. That'll be a trivia question.
Yeah, if somebody knows, let us know.
Right, I don't remember.
Now, most Alentejo wines are blends, and the most common red wine grapes you're going to find in the blends are Aragones, which is actually another name for Tempranillo, which is the great Spanish grape in Rioja. Trincadeira, which is also known as Tinta Amarela, which is kind of a pretty name. Alicante Bouschet, which we already talked about. It has the red flesh. And Castellão. Because it's got that little...
Oh, you're so happy to say that.
Also known as Periquita, which is kind of a cute name.
Oh.
In order to carry the Alentejo DOC designation, a wine must be made up of at least 75% of mandatory varieties, which includes the 4 I just mentioned, and can also include other grapes like Alfoquiero, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Syrah, believe it or not, and Touriga Nacional. And then there are other grapes like Baga, Merlot, and Zinfandel that can be used as long as they do not make up more than 25% of the blend. So they have rules, but they're not super strict. Now, for a wine with the IG designation, so there's some wines, this is similar to Italian wines, which has IGT. In Portugal, the DOC is the big designation, and then there's IG. They have lower standards. They're often labeled as Vinho Regional Alentejano. Remember that. And producers can use any authorized grape. Any grape that's authorized in the region in any proportion they want.
Wow.
They've got freedom.
The sky is the limit.
Freedom of choice.
Wow. Or, you know what? All the winemakers are going to move there.
They're like, hey, we just want to be free.
Right.
Okay. And then finally, there are more specific rules for Vinho de Talha DOC wines. And we're going to drink one of those wines today because these are specific to clay pot winemaking.
Woo!
Remember, we keep talking about the clay pots?
Don't forget clay pots.
Don't forget it, right? The rules stipulate, and I'm not making this up, the wines must remain in the talhas, or the clay vessels, in contact with the grape skins until at least November 11th, which is St. Martin's Day.
Wait.
I'm not kidding.
I don't get it.
That's the rule of the winemaking is you can put them in the clay pots, but they have to stay until at least St. Martin's Day.
November 11th.
November 11th.
Okay.
St. Martin's Day.
Boy, the rules.
The rules, right? What if you were like, hey, the day before is like St. Guido's Day, and you're like, no, you can't do that.
What if you like you have a wedding or something?
Nope.
Like you like, oh, you're sick.
Nope, breaks the rules. Can't do it.
Wow. So it's just not wine then.
No.
I mean, it's just like if it doesn't go to that date, It's just not real.
You're in trouble. It's like beer. It just counts as beer, I guess.
Okay.
Anyway, many of these wines also end up being field blends, which we talked about in the Douro Branco episode. That means they're made up of a mix of grapes that are grown in the field, and they're kind of interspersed among each other rather than divided by plots, which is what we normally expect in crops. But in general, the red wines typically center on traditional grapes like Trincadeira, Aragonés, Grand Nord, and Moreto. In fact, although other areas of Alentejo allow non-native grapes, in Vinho de Talha, they're like, you don't do that.
Really?
They really frown upon using non-indigenous, non-local grapes. They really they're not happy. You talk about St. Martin's Day.
They're snobby about it.
Yeah, you want to get in trouble? Use some different grapes and take the wine out of the clay pots. Other than St. Martin's Day. Okay. Interestingly, both of the wines we're drinking today are made in amphora or clay pots.
Oh my goodness.
That's why I kept bringing this up and why it's so important. Both of them. I don't think we've ever had one damn wine made in a clay pot, and today we're having two.
We're going to like this, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. So one is a Vinho de Talha and one is a Vinho Regional Alentejano.
Oh.
So this will be interesting.
Okay.
But Carmela, I think that's enough information. And so I think we learn a little bit more about the specific wines we're drinking today. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right. So as usual, the wines we have chosen for this episode are under $25. And they should be relatively easy to find because I bought them both at wine.com.
Woo.
Now, overall, if you're looking beyond a few core wines from Portugal, like Vinho Verde, or wines from the Douro or the Dão, and in particular Port, which is from the Douro and from the city of Porto, you're going to have to dig around for these wines.
Okay.
Now, wines from Alentejo are not super hard to find, but you're not going to find them at your local grocery store unless they have a really good and broad wine selection. A big wine store, of course, but go to your local wine merchant. Go in there and say, I'm really interested in Alentejo wines and wines made in clay pots, and they'd be happy to help you. The first wine, Carmela, we're going to drink is the 2023 Bojador Vinho de Talha Tinto. And as you may have already figured out, since it's a Vinho de Talha, the wine is made in
clay pots.
That's right, Talha Amphora. And this one got a 91 from Robert Parker, which is not a ringing endorsement for us because he tends to love big, oaky red wines. But for those of you who like those kinds of wines, you may love it. There was a tech sheet for this wine, which I love. But
you love a tech sheet.
But the tech sheet wasn't awesome. And the version that they had available in English, which you can find links to in our show notes. And by the way, we always have tons of information in our show notes and links and all that kind of stuff. The English translation was pretty rough. So
shoot.
I'll just go over a few things. But the wine is made from 3 varietals. It's 40% Trincadeira Preta, 30% Moreto, and 30% Tinta Grossa. And so even though they didn't have to tell us, they told us, which I thought was really nice. Mm-hmm. They mentioned that they use the traditional process of using earthen jars without temperature control, and they use indigenous yeasts. They also say something that's a little confusing because of the translation, but they say there was no addition or correction of the grape fuse. And I'm not kidding, they spelled it fuse.
Oh, wow.
I think they meant juice.
That's hilarious.
But I thought that was kind of fun.
And of course, you would catch it.
I know, because I'm a jerk.
No.
But anyway, I think this addition or correction, no addition or correction, just means they didn't really touch the wine much. They probably didn't fine and filter it. They probably just like low intervention winemakers. Then they say they aged the wine in the bottle for 2 months. And by the way, the winery says that only 10% of their wines are made in amphora. So it's kind of special.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The next wine we're going to drink is the 2020 Casa Relvas Art.Terra Amphora Red. Now, this wine is not a Vinho de Talha. It's technically a Vinho Regional Alentejano. But as the name indicates, they use amphora in production.
Okay.
So 2 wines, again, using the clay.
Love it.
This particular vintage got a 92 from the tasting panel, whoever that is, and an 89 from Wine Enthusiast.
They said that?
Whoever the tasting panel is. Right. Now, this wine also had a tech sheet, and they just indicate that the wine is a blend of Moreto, Trincadeira, and Aragonés. So they don't give a specificity on how much of each grape, but at least they tell us what the grapes are. They say the grapes were hand harvested and fermented in amphora with indigenous yeast, so similar to the last wine. They also said it had a long contact with the skin for about 60 days, which is a really long time. Mm-hmm. Like most of the time for a red wine, it's a week or so.
Ooh, I wonder how this is going to be.
I agree. And then they say it was aged sur lee, or on the lees, for 3 months in small amphora. So they moved it from big amphora to small amphora, I think. And the lees, remember, are the dead yeast and other gunk left over from the winemaking process.
This could be very rich.
It could be exactly, because it's exactly right. Like the lees add some depth, sometimes some mouthfeel and some funk to the wine. Mm-hmm. And then the amount of time on the skins also makes me think this is going to be a pretty rich and tannic wine. Now, they didn't talk about extraction per se, like our pump overs, the pump. So it might be that they just leave the skins and stuff in the amphora, but 60 days is a long time.
Sounds like it.
So I do think this could be a highly extracted and fruity wine, but we're going to find out. And then the amphora, I think part of it is that they're porous, and so they let air in like a barrel. But the amphora should be sort of neutral flavored or even earthy flavored versus an oak barrel, which is going to be oaky flavored.
Right.
They also call out that 20% of their vineyards are certified organic, and they're continuing to convert more and more to organic each year. They also say they use nearby wetlands to filter and reuse water, and they use sheep to weed the soil. So they're basically using regenerative farming and natural farm making practices.
Amazing.
And then one additional note, they say they have 86 acres of vineyards and 240 acres of cork oak trees.
No.
Cork trees, yeah, kind of cool. Yeah. So, and they also say they believe in offering quality wines at affordable prices.
I love these guys.
Could they be more up our alley or not?
I love this.
I love them too. But you know what, Carmela? I think that's enough information. I think it's time we get to drinking. So if you have an Alentejo wine, Amphora wine, a red wine, if you just have grape juice, just drink along with us, see if you agree with our tasting notes, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back and we are ready to try our first wine. The first wine is the Bojador Vinho de Talha Tinto. It's from Alentejo, Portugal. It's the 2023 vintage. It was $24.97 at wine.com. 13% alcohol, 14% Trincadera Preta, 30% Moreto, and 30% Tinta Grossa. And again, Robert Parker gave it a 91. Vivino gave it a 3.9. But Carmela, what's the color?
Well, it's not super dark.
Yeah, it's not as dark as I thought it was going to be.
Me too. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of purpley.
Yeah, it's a little cloudy, I'm finding.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like a little matte or something.
Oh, I like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's kind of flat or matte looking.
I think that's right.
But
almost
cloudy.
like it's got a film or something on top of it. But, well, let's smell it. What do you think?
Well, I'm getting a little like plum on it, I feel like.
I think it's pretty fruity.
Yeah, it's pretty jammy, sweet, pretty concentrated.
Yeah.
Maybe even like dried fruit, like dried cherries.
Yes, I think that's good. Dried fruit. I think it's a lot of black fruits. I kind of think it's like a blackberry or a blueberry. A plum for sure. Like it's a richer red fruit or a black fruit.
Yeah, I agree.
And it does have if you swirl it, you do get a little bit of clay on it, a little bit of earth on it, I think. Clay in particular.
I think so too, yeah.
But it's fruity. I'm thinking this is going to be a really jammy, it's almost like a fruit compote kind of smelling.
It's rich. You can just already tell. It's something like kind of almost cooked down.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I think, you said that concentrated, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's try it and see what we think. Yeah, it's really fruity.
But it's almost kind of tart too.
It is, but it's like super juicy.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's definitely juicy, almost like grape juice, actually, because there is a little bit of that tartness on it that I wasn't expecting.
It's funny too. Yeah, on the end of it, you get this like almost metallic-y clay earth. There's something like rock or mineral, very mineral.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I'm not getting the same juice. I'm getting juicy, but I'm not getting super fruity like I was thinking. I think it's kind of more. Are you getting the tartness?
Yeah, definitely getting the tartness. On the front, I think it's super fruity. I just think on the back, it's super like tannic and mineral.
Yeah, I would agree. It's kind of hard to. I mean, I'm tasting the fruits for sure, but that it kind of lingers. I think the ending notes, and so that's that is what is sticking with me.
I agree.
It's a little smoky too. I don't know why.
With that. Mm-hmm. I'm with that. Smoky. I think it's jammy. I think the fruit on it is very jammy. I think you're right. Grape juice, like grape jam, like grape jelly. It tastes almost like a grape jelly.
Yeah, I guess.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's funny. It smells so fruity and jammy, but it's not giving me quite the same intensity as I thought it would.
I'm really agreeing with you that the tartness too is coming out like a tart cherry almost on the front end. And it does linger. It's kind of this weird, it's almost a weird metallic kind of
a little
taste on
unusual.
it. Yeah. Okay, what food might you pair with this Bojador?
Well, I think it would be nice with food. It's funny. I'm trying to think of some of the things we ate in Portugal. It's definitely, they have a lot of, I could see some of those sandwiches, like what was it, the gazella?
The gazella was so good.
I think this would be nice with that. I think you could do something.
I think it's a good call.
Yeah, I mean, just trying to think of Portuguese food.
I'll tell you what, we were expecting a lot of fish, and, we didn't seek out fish. It also wasn't
I was eating a lot more fish than you, of course.
Well, for sure. But it also wasn't sardine season, and we didn't, again, go out of our way. But the thing in Portugal is like, they don't just eat meat when they eat meat. They eat like a bunch of meats together.
Meat upon meat upon meat.
Like in the same thing.
Right, in the same sandwich, on the same dish. It's kind of like...
It's kind of amazing and rich.
Gluttonous.
It is. And like a lot of different flavors in the meat.
And then sometimes they just throw an egg on it.
Oh my God. That sandwich we had, was it the Francascina or whatever it was?
A lot.
Crazy.
Talk about extra.
I mean, it was like 3 or 4 different meats in it, covered in cheese, in toast, toast and cheese, and then an egg on top. It was,
and then gravy drizzled over the top, too.
And then fries.
Fries all around the base of it.
And I think this would, I think you're right. I think this would taste good with it because the tartness and it has acidity. This wine actually has a lot of acidity, more acidity than I would expect.
Yeah.
So I'm saying yes with the Francesina or whatever
and the
it was
gazella.
called. And the gazella.
The gazella had ham, steak, and like sausage.
Yeah, rich meats, fatty meats.
Yes.
Fatty meats, sausages, those kinds of things. I think it'd be good with barbecue. I think it'd be good with, like roasted,
ribs, even.
Yeah, like charred meats and those kinds of things. Not fish.
No.
I don't think it would go with fish.
No.
What else? Pizza. It'd be
Pizza
good.
would be good.
Yeah.
I mean, pasta dishes too, for sure.
You know what else I will say about Portuguese food? The bread was good.
The bread was really nice.
Like sometimes, even in Italy, sometimes you're like, whoa, bread, not very good.
No, it was very good.
It was very good.
What do you think? What else?
I think that's right. I think the gazellas, I kind of want a gazella. And the French fries at the gazella place, if you want to know the best gazella place in Porto, just reach out. Let's rate this wine, Carmela, all right? So as a reminder, on our rating scale, we rate on a scale of 1 to 10. We don't give half points. 7 and above means that we'd buy it. 4 and below means we're going to pour it down the sink. And a 5 or 6 means we're going to drink it. We'll finish it. Thank you for serving it to us, but we're not going to buy it. So, Carmela, what would you give the Bojador Vinho de Talha Tinto wine?
You know what? I'm going to give it a 6.
I think that's what I'm going to do too.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a 6.
Yeah, it's nothing that I would toss out, but I'm not going to seek it out.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid 6. Maybe it's on the verge of a 5. It's not on the verge of a 7.
No,
I wouldn't buy it.
No.
Again, if we were at a party or I would drink it happily
for sure.
But it's also kind of not our style.
True.
That much either.
True.
Okay, we're going to take a break and we're going to try our last wine.
Okay.
Okay, we're back with our second wine. This is the Casa Relvas Art.Terra Amphora Red. It's from Alentejo, Portugal. This is a 2020 vintage, so it's an older wine. $21.97 at wine.com. 13.5% alcohol. Now, what's interesting is it has very similar grapes, Moreto and Trincadeira, but it also has Aragonés, so that's a different grape. Tasting panel gave it a 92. Wine enthusiasts gave it an 89. I couldn't find a Vivino rating, but Carmela, the color's different.
Yeah, it is. It's more red.
It's inky. No, I think it's inky.
Oh, see, I don't have as much in my glass.
I think it's purple.
Actually, yours looks really dark.
Really purple and inky.
Yeah, but
Are you sure you poured the right wine?
Yes,
did you pour the right wine? I'm not sure you did.
I'm positive.
It's deep purple.
Yeah, isn't that funny though? Like it looks much darker in your glass.
Yeah, it does.
But I don't have as much.
And it has, again, that kind of like look at this, a little bit filmy as well. Kind of got that same kind of look.
Kind of
dulled down, but it's much darker. Purple. It's purple. Okay, well, what are you smelling?
It's really unusual.
It smells very different. To me, it's really perfumey.
Yes, it smells like perfume. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of flower, floral.
Rose.
Yeah, but it's pretty intense.
It's very perfumed.
Yeah.
Not just perfumey, but perfumed. Like it comes out at you.
It's strange too because it almost smells a little effervescent and it totally doesn't look like it, but there's a little bit of like sparkly smell on it for some reason. I don't know. It's a little licoricey too, like red licorice.
I think that's good.
It's just, or soda pop, like cherry.
You're really getting something bubbly.
Fizzy. I don't know why.
It's earthy when you swirl it, but there's definitely fruit on it. I'm trying to get the fruit. Are you getting kind of maybe a cherry?
I'm getting some cherry on
it. Like a
it.
Twizzler, kind of that kind of cherry smell.
Yes. It's really, almost kind of waxy.
Yeah.
Kind of like those wax lips.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Those
But I'm actually thinking, the waxy Twizzlers.
Oh, yeah. Or those weird, remember those candies that they were made of wax and they had liquid in it?
Them?
Yeah.
Yeah, those were, I don't actually really remember eating those. I thought they were poison. I don't know.
I mean, they might have been. I don't know. But this doesn't actually smell like that for whatever reason.
But you just wanted to remember them, just in case you forgot.
I just wanted to make sure you remembered them.
Yeah, it's fruity. It is fruity, but it's kind of an interesting fruit, almost like maybe a grape soda or a cherry, like a Dr. Pepper.
I think you might have just nailed it.
A Dr. Pepper.
That might be what I'm smelling.
Yeah.
Either a cherry Coke
or a root beer.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little root beer.
Something like
that. A little sarsaparilla.
Yeah, maybe there's a little touch of molasses on this.
And that's where licorice kind of would come from too, is that kind of smell.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Well, it's very different from the other wine, at least from a smell.
And different than a lot of wines.
Yeah. Okay, let's taste it and see what we think. I mean, it's licoricey. It's Twizzlery. It tastes like a Twizzler to me.
So weird.
And the fizziness, what it almost tastes a little bit like?
Do you get that too then?
Well, those, I don't know how to describe the candies, but they're not fizzy candies. They're almost like circle candies, and they're very sugary, but they almost have an effervescence to them. That's what they remind me of.
You're
almost
getting
fizzy.
the effervescence then too.
Fizziness, I am. But but that flavor too of like this sweet fruity flavor with effervescence.
They're almost like those
Pop Rocks?
Yeah, a little bit actually.
Okay.
Or like that stuff those white things what were those called? Italians would if you had upset stomach.
I know what you're talking about. I can't remember what
those
it's called.
didn't have flavor necessarily, but
I know what you're talking about.
Those white little tiny puffy things.
Yeah, well, somebody will remind us, but I know it's like old Italian ladies had it for the indigestion.
But we had them. I mean, my mom had them.
Having them.
Oh, we had them, and it was just like we didn't have them when we were having a stomach ache. We just wanted to have a couple little fizziness.
They were kind of fun.
Yeah. So anyway, we're totally going off track here, but I just think that there is an interesting effervescence to this wine.
You know what else I'm kind of getting to on the end of it? It's a little meaty. And I don't know if you remember, but in Porto, we did that port tasting, and one of the red wines, and I wonder if it had some of the same grapes, almost, to me, it tasted like meat.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what, too?
You totally dismissed that.
No. I fully remember that. And I couldn't really finish that port wine because I didn't like that.
You getting a little meat on this one?
I am getting a little bit of meat, and I'm also getting, this is not a good thing.
Uh-oh.
I'm getting a little bit of nail polish remover.
Well, that's not good at all. I'm not getting that, but that's not good at all. Turpentine. Wow, that's serious. Like that's stuff you're not supposed to put in your body.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not enjoying this wine so much.
Really?
Do you like it?
I'm liking it better than the first one. Oh. I'm really thinking about the rating. Let's talk about food first, and then we'll talk about the rating. What food would you have with this wine?
This is very vinegary to me.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Huh.
So, food. I would definitely do food, and I would do something like
steak sandwich.
Yeah, with French fries.
An au jus.
Right. Oh, I was
really
just going to
say.
Yeah, I was actually just going to say something like that.
You're copying me.
I am. I was piggybacking.
And a gazella would be good.
Gazella. Yeah, I think you need bread.
Yeah, I do too.
And
a calzone
would be awesome.
That
sounds good for tonight.
Ooh, should we do a calzone?
Yeah. I'd be so into that.
That'd be sexy.
Woo!
I don't know.
Sexy food.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not digging this so much, and so I think I would want something
bready.
Bready.
You want to hide it. You want to. I know what you want, a meatball sandwich.
I don't even like meatball sandwiches, but
you'd have it with this. You'd have it.
I would.
All right.
What would you eat with this?
I just
all
went
those
through
good
it.
things.
I went through it. A meatball sandwich.
A sandwich.
Yeah, I think a big grinder, like an Italian grinder, I'd have with it. It'd be good with a little mozzarella and a little, with the gabagool and that kind of stuff. Gabagool. All right. Now's the moment of truth. What are you going to... she's shaking her head. Ladies and gentlemen, she's shaking her head.
I thought we had much better wine while we were in Portugal. And maybe it's like just
Except
being
for that
in Portugal.
port that tasted like meat.
True. But that was just one of them. And I mean, that one wasn't that great. But the other ones I thought were
I feel like you're
good.
stalling.
I'm going to give this... I mean, it's funny.
I feel like you're stalling.
I'm on the verge of a...
Wow.
But
let it out, sister.
I'm just not digging
She's not
this
my sister.
wine. Yeah,
she's my wife. That would be weird. Well, okay.
We don't want to start any rumors.
No.
I'm going to give I feel like 4 is pretty harsh.
Okay. But you know what? You got to live your truth.
On the pod?
On the pod, man.
Okay,
People want to know.
I'm going to give it a 4.
Wow. I'm giving it a solid 6. I kind of like it.
Oh, good.
I don't know what is wrong with me.
No. I think it's more me. I think I'm the one that has the problem.
It's not you. It's me. It's not me, it's you.
Right.
Okay. That's
what people say when they let somebody down easy. They say, it's really me.
What's it because of?
You didn't do anything wrong. It's really it's me.
Yeah, it's it's like, how can I let this schmuck down without hurting their feelings?
Exactly. Yeah, so that's what I'm telling the wine. I'm like, you know what? It's really me.
You're trying as hard as you can.
Right.
Okay, Carmela, which of these?
You did nothing wrong.
Which of these are you finishing tonight? I think you're doing
I am not having either, probably, but I would...
If you had to.
If I was forced. If I was shoved against the wall.
You will be.
I would have the first one. I'd have that. What is it? Bojador?
Yeah.
I'd have the Bojador.
I'm going to have the Casas Relvas.
I'm so glad.
Casa Relvas.
That's great.
Oh, okay, Carmela, let's talk about the taste profiles and see if we nail them. So in general, an Alentejo wine, you expect generous amounts of ripe black fruit, lavender, that's good, bramble, mocha, and dried herbs.
Okay.
We didn't talk about dried herbs, but I can get in that.
We talked about earth a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Primary flavors include rich dark berries like blackberries and blueberries.
Okay.
Talked about that. Black cherry, plum, spicy notes, black pepper, vanilla, cinnamon. And Vinhos de Talha often result in a more rustic, earthy, and savory profile. So definitely getting some savoriness, that meatiness. The Bojador, the winery says ruby and concentrated color, lush aromas and fruits of the woods, round tannins, and good pronounced mouth volume. And not a lot of descriptions really there. Robert Parker, it has notes of iron and clay.
Oh, wow. Iron. You were talking about a lot of metallic.
Metal, yeah. Red berry, fruit, and herbs with a medium-bodied palate with a fine texture. It's very drinkable. The Casa Relvas, the winery said, bright red color, aromas that feature strong primary fruit with some earthy notes, as well as notes of iodine. Oh, wow. And eucalyptus from the Amphora. I think iodine is actually a really good one. And the palate is soft and pleasant. Tasting panel, aromas of blackberry, plum, and eucalyptus. Eucalyptus is interesting. What did you say again?
No, but I think eucalyptus is a good one.
But what were you saying that was kind of like that? You said something.
I didn't.
Okay.
I don't know.
I thought you did.
I said nail polish remover. Anything about nail polish remover?
No, but I think iodine or eucalyptus are close. Blueberry jam, prune, white pepper, licorice, flint, and lavender. But we are thinking red licorice.
Yeah.
And wine enthusiast, fruit driven with layers of black currant fruits, also has a black backdrop of tannins and acidity. Yeah, I mean, they're like medium tannin wines. So what's your verdict on Alentejo red wines? Now, we've only had the Amphora ones, but what would you say?
So, I mean, I would not hesitate to try another or try one of the others for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not like, again, these are not like super offensive. They're just not really my style either.
They're not.
Yeah. And a lot of times if I have something that I'm not super fond of, but I find a good one, then I'm like, wow, I was so unexpected. But this one just didn't blow me away.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we did the Amphora. I'm not sure how much I would go back to the well, but I do agree. I'd like to taste a regular Alentejo wine. Okay, Carmela, let's have a quick chat with Chris, who gave us the really fun name for our tribe this week. Whoa. I loved it. When he sent it over, I was like, man, that is awesome.
And nobody has thought of that one.
No, it's so awesome. He actually had 2 really good ones, including the, well, you'll hear it in the recording, so I'm not going to give it away.
Perfect.
And remember, if you have a tribe name, just reach out to us, even if you think the name is dumb, because it won't be any dumber than mine.
There are no dumb answers.
No, only dumb people. But
right.
Anyway, let us know, and we'll send them over, and we'll ask if you want want to be on the podcast. And so let's head over to Chris. Hi, Chris, and welcome to the Wine Pair Podcast.
Joe, how are you? Pleasure to be on. Thank you.
I'm really excited to be on. I realized that as we were supposed to be on, I had the time zone incorrect. So you had the correct time. I had the incorrect time, but we're together now.
Right, we made it.
That's all that matters. Well, you have an awesome name for the tribe this week. But before we get to that, I have a few important questions to ask you if you're ready.
Oh, I'm ready. Shoot.
Okay, the first question is, what is your favorite wine?
Ooh, so it goes back and forth. So it's a twofold. It's definitely sparkling, anything Method Champenois, from Cava to obviously Champagne. Cremant de Bourguignon is my absolute favorite. But anything in that style for reds, it's definitely Tempranillo. You know, from Rioja to Toro. Toro is my absolute favorite expression of Tempranillo.
I love it.
My favorites. And they're versatile. They're so versatile. Either one. Go great with anything.
Well, especially with the sparkling, a man after my own heart. Most people think of it as just kind of like a celebration wine, but sparkling wine is awesome all the time.
We drink it all the time. Not to sound like that, but I mean, we drink it with every form of food, you know, just to see how the bubbles interact with everything. I think it's one of the more versatile wines out there. And like you said, people only use it for celebratory. It's far beyond that.
They're missing out.
Missing out.
All right. Next question, Chris. When did you start listening to us and how did you find us?
So I found you. It's just part of the algorithm from some of the other wine podcasts I listened to. Your name came up. I said, "Oh, let's check this out." But all your vernacular, you and Carmela, your back and forth and everything, your vernacular. I'm like, wow, this is so approachable. But they speak like how I used to teach my classes when I had my store, when I taught in the college. It's like they're saying similar things. I mean, just going back to your Greek episode, talking about the Xinomavro, and that's how I used to describe it to people. It's the Greek version of Nebbiolo. You'll love this. And I'm like, every time I hear an episode, there's always key things in there. I'm like, man, that sounds just like my people, you know. And I enjoy listening to it week to week. It's approachable by, you know, people in the industry, people outside of the industry, definitely. It's a fun listen to. For however long the episodes are, it's quick. It's informative, but it's not snooty or anything, and it's never boring. It rolls. You guys are doing a great job.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'll have to tell Carmela your feedback so that she keeps doing the podcast.
Definitely, yeah.
All right, very good. Well, now let's get to the name you suggested. So you suggested an awesome name, so I'm curious how you came up with the name and if there's any background on it.
No, I mean, I sit around. I mean, I listen to you're still a musician, right?
Well, you know, I pretend.
You pretend, okay. But you were in a band at one point, so I know you're in the music industry, and I listen to all forms of music, and Wu-Tang just happened to be on one day. I'm like, Crew-Tang, the Crew-Tang clan. I said it was either that or it was Two Live Crew, but I can't get any PG names out of Two Live Crew.
That's right.
So it was definitely the Crew-Tang clan. It's nice to relax with a glass of wine. So
perfect. It's a perfect name.
Perfect name. Glad you enjoyed it.
Chris, anything that you want to tell the listeners about?
Just open your mind, open your palates to all different kinds of wine. Hope people out in your audience just really support the small businesses, from the small wine shops to the well-curated little restaurants in their neighborhoods that have great wine. Let's put thought into it, education behind it, and just really trying to get people into drinking something different instead of the homogenized mass marketed things out there. It drives me nuts when I see that.
Couldn't have said it any better. Perfect. That's perfect. That's exactly the way we feel. Well, Chris, has been awesome to have you on. Thank you very much for taking the time and sending the name, and we'll talk soon.
Talk soon. I appreciate it. Be listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris, for the great tribe name. We really appreciate it. And everybody, keep those tribe names coming. And we're going to skip our Wine in the News this week segment because the episode is getting a little long, but we're going to bring it back next week. And we have a great story sent to us by our good friend Frank Racciopi, who has the great newsletter called Earworthy that you need to sign up for if you want to find great independent podcasts, but on to other things. Okay, Carmela, we have some fun listener shout outs this week, and we always appreciate when you reach out to us. We love it. Just keep doing it. We always respond, but we have a number. Lisa reached out to us to ask us what we thought about another Lubanzi wine, specifically their Shiraz, Cinsault, Mourvedre, and Grenache brand, kind of a GSM, and said we should check out Maryland wine. So we're going to be on the lookout for that. And she called out a few specific wineries like Lynx Bridge, 61 Vineyards, and Newmarket Plains. Oh, Adam, he appreciated our Xinomavro episode, especially since he suggested it. So thanks, Adam, for that. And he corrected me.
Oh.
So I made a mistake. The location of Nausa, where they make the wine, is different from the Nausa that I was calling out that's on an island.
Oh.
So the Nausa,
Good
where they make
catch.
the wine, is actually a city in the interior of Greece, Macedonia. So thanks for that correction, Adam. Gus, who's new to the podcast, gave us a tribe name. He's also interested in what wines we like and if we have a list of wines. So I told him check out the shop wine section because that's a great
Nice.
place where you can find the wines that we rate as buys. Shaker, he really wanted to know more about the Chateau Mouton Rothschild that our daughter's boyfriend gave me. So I gave him a little bit of information about that.
Cool.
Jim sent a really nice long email sharing some of his joys of wine drinking and some great Mondavi wines in particular, which was really nice. Dawn left us a voice message
Oh my.
on our website. You can leave us a voice message, and we haven't had those very often, and we love that Dawn did that.
Cool.
He told us he loves French wine and he wants to try Bandol, and I said, try Bandol, but also try Tavel if you're going to try the rosé.
Right.
And then Ted evidently has been following our vacation schedule. He knows when we're gone and when we're around. So I don't know. Thanks, Ted.
Make sure you just watch out for us while we're gone.
That's right. Will
please?
you watch the house and take out the garbage? He also let us know he went through his notes and he found that one of the Xenopopros that we reviewed, he had while in London eating at a Peruvian Chinese fusion restaurant.
Whoa.
So he had a Greek wine in London at a Peruvian Chinese fusion
Talk
restaurant.
about international.
That's right. And we talked a little bit about Sangiovese in the USA, and so that could be a cool episode to do, Sangiovese in the US.
Nice.
Speaking of wines to do episodes on, future episodes, here's some wines we're going to drink in case you want to drink along with us. We're going to do some Pet Nat. By the way, if you go to our show notes.
Except for our daughter drank one of them.
No, actually, I found out it wasn't. It wasn't. It was a different one. Because I looked and I double checked. I saw it in the recycling. I'm like, oh, she drank our wine, but actually it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
So she's off the list.
Oh, no, she was not.
She was
ever.
never. No.
That's so funny.
But we did actually, it's okay. But if you want to know the specific wines, go to our show notes and also in our newsletter. We give you the specific wines and the years. We're going to do Pet Nat, German Riesling. We're going to do White Rioja. We're going to do some Lebanese wines, and we're going to do Pinot Noir, high QPR Pinot Noir. We're gonna test a low cost one with a high cost Willamette Valley Pinot Noir and see how they compare. But that's it. So thank you for listening to us and for supporting our show. And remember, we buy all of our own wine and we do all the writing and recording and editing to bring you a show every week. And we do it because we absolutely love doing it. And our small little tiny ask of you is that you please follow or subscribe to our podcast and also leave us a nice 5-star rating and review. That helps us grow listeners. Thank you to everybody who's done that. Again, follow us on Instagram or Blue Sky at The Wine Pair Podcast. Contact us on our website, thewinepairpodcast.com. If you missed our email newsletter, you can sign up for it there. And again, if you missed it, just let me know. Send me a note and I will hand deliver it to your email inbox. Visit our shop wine section where you can find the wines that we rate highly. And if you click on those and you buy them, we may get a little out of it, which helps us offset the cost of the pod. And we love to make content that you care about and you like, so send us a note or DM us, follow us, just follow us around in the store or whatever. Give us some feedback. Let us know if there's wines you want us to try or winemaking or the areas of the world that you're curious about. We'll take care of it. Joe at thewinepairpodcast.com is where you can reach out to us. But with that, we're going to sign off. So thank you once again. We'll see you next time. And as we like to say, life is short, so stop drinking shitty wine. Bye-bye.
Bye.